Chuck 2013 Outside the Cinemas coverage. I'm psyched to do this interview. We're here with Skip Shea. I met Skip back a few months ago at the Adam Green fundraiser, and he is a big part of the upcoming Wicked Bird Media documentary, Something Wicked This Way Comes. So I want to make sure we caught up with him this weekend because we screened one of your shorts yesterday. And first of all, tell everyone who you are, kind of what's going on with you.
Skip Shea, local horror filmmaker. I made a short 2 years ago, 2011, called Microcinema. It kind of took off on a life of its own. It became kind of a hit. So I adapted into a feature-length screenplay, and then I did Ave Maria, a sequel, while I'm still raising funds for the feature-length.
So you're a New England guy, which is obviously why you're part of the documentary, and you've done a lot of extra work. And one of the things we talked about when we first met, we was just saying, like what you do. You're like, I've done extra work. I worked with Scorsese, and I worked with all these different guys. At what point did you want to start really you probably always want to make your own films. At what point did you start to really be like, I'm going to make my own films?
Let's say I started doing like the background stuff like in 2007, and I immediately got in the union. But even then, when I started doing that, the goal was to just observe how everything was done on these large sets, so I could make my own films. That was the plan from the get-go.
Perfect. So was Microcinema was really kind of your first completed short then, right?
No, that was my first horror short.
First horror short, okay.
I had done like 5 prior to that.
Okay.
And then I wanted the thought process behind Microcinema was I wanted to explore the concept of creating a horror web series, and I thought we could self-distribute it. It's a totally saturated market now, so there's still baby ways, but you'd have to have a huge marketing budget, and that's what I figured out. But I still wanted to test the market, so I made Microcinema, and we put it up online and sold it for 99 cents, a download, and then we just did total guerrilla marketing. That's how I actually met Stacy at Wicked Bird. I sent it to her and said, hey, you want to review this? It did well enough where, we didn't make a fortune, but I didn't lose any money. I made everything back.
That's the most important part of it.
So the test market worked. But in the same time, the people who saw it then said, hey, can we show this at this festival? I mean, I got an email from Denmark. Said, hey, can we screen your movie? I was like, sure. And then that's when I realized this thing has a life of its own. And a lot of the reviewers said, this needs to be a feature length.
Now, it's cool that the feature length thing is happening because when you did Microcinema, you had this whole story to go with it. Like if you read the synopsis, it's kind of like here's the background of the character, here's what's going on. And you said it was originally going to be a series, so you always envisioned it being a much fuller story and kind of using the short to be like the introduction.
Yes, although the feature length when I started writing it in a different direction than I had anticipated, it's really strange how they take on a life of their own. But yeah, there was a much larger story to it when I first started. Actually, there were more characters than the two that were who are in the first short.
So actually, give the people kind of a brief synopsis of Microcinema then.
Microcinema, the short, is about a very, very wealthy man who's addicted to snuff films and suddenly decides to make one of his own. Somebody's amused by it over there. And so he gets all the equipment, and he follows a woman into the woods, and it just doesn't go as planned for him.
To say the least.
Yes.
To say the least. So where are you at? Because I know Wicked Bird's been following you around, and you're a featured part of the documentary. So are you still in the writing process, or working on, where are you at?
This is all trying to get the money now.
Right.
I have two top sheets, one for like $700,000 and one for $3 million. So I'm shooting for the $3 million first. I have Kip Weeks is attached.
Perfect.
He's going to be in it as one of the detectives. I have Susan Crowley, who was in The Devil Inside. She played the possessed mom in Rome. She's in it. She's attached to it so far. So I have a couple of horror people attached. I'm about to hire a casting director out of New York to get probably a larger name attached for the lead detective, because then I think the money. There's Temple Heart Productions in London. It's already on the managing director's desk over there. I'm pretty sure if I say, okay, now I have this name attached, I will get some of the money. I know there's a company in New York that's equally as interested. but I just need the name, and then
Right.
once I get the money, we'll shoot it next fall. I need fall in New England. I mean, it's a
Oh,
horror movie.
is there a better time of year anywhere to film than
No.
fall in New England? I
No.
mean, it's perfect.
It is absolutely
It's
perfect.
perfect, especially for a horror film.
Yes, it is. There's no other way.
All right, so let's talk about Ave Maria, which is the pseudo sequel and the most recent short you did. Was Ave Maria planned? I mean, the Ave Maria is really interesting because it's kind of based on the song.
It is based on a version of the song. Yeah, recorded by Alessandro Morsetti in 1904. And Alessandro Morsetti was a castrati. He was castrated at the age of 7, so he could always sing in a soprano voice for the Pope.
The things we do for art, right?
Yes.
So
Well,
was
he
it?
didn't do it. I don't think he really had a choice.
So was Ave Maria always planned as a sequel, or was it like you did Microcinema and then it was okay? What's next for it?
Well, it wasn't planned as a sequel. Microcinema was 2011. I'm raising funds for it, and I thought, well, to keep the story alive, I need to continue to explore the character of Missy. So I wrote it, and part of Microcinema was made. I'll just say it because I'm a survivor of clergy sexual abuse. So I wanted to have something happen to a predator in Microcinema, but I didn't really get very churchy in it.
Right.
So Ave Maria, I thought, okay, let's kind of point
And
the
even in
camera
Ave
that
Maria,
way.
you walk that line without being exploitative.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I just the whole point of Ave Maria is to just widen the lens. If in America, people are very they act really shocked about clergy sexual abuse. But if you look at the history of the church, I mean, they were castrating boys at 7.
Right.
And to sing for the Pope, and that was fine, and everybody thought that was a really cool thing. And and then there was the Inquisition. There was a history of abuse throughout the course of the history of the church. So I just wanted to show.
That's not a new thing, unfortunately.
No. So I just wanted to show that, widen the lens a little bit.
And it's it's an art piece because it's a beautiful piece to watch.
Yes, that was it's funny we were talking about shooting in the fall in New England. I shot that when it was beautiful summer.
Summer afternoon. I remember when you were shooting it, and it was like 85 degrees, sunny. It's like, okay.
I wanted, and the same thing, sunny. I wanted everything to be out in the light, nothing in the dark. The complete almost opposite. And it is an art piece. We wanted it to be absolutely stunningly beautiful and horrific at the same time.
And it's kind of the opposite of Microcinema.
It is.
But the same.
It is. Exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of like we were talking to someone yesterday about kind of like horror and like the opposite spectrums. And the example that we used is in like the zombie films. You have Return of the Living Dead, which is a very like campy, fun zombie film, and then you have something like Wreck, which is like there's no fun. It is brutal. It is dark. It is angry. But they're both zombie films.
And it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Oh, Wreck is so good. So good.
I love the whole series. I even liked 3. I love the whole.
3 was okay.
It was totally
like
different
most of
and
it.
fun.
Yeah, but it's funny how, as horror fans and as film fans in general, you can have these different sides of things. And those two shorts, both horror shorts, both brutal horror shorts, but so different in so many different ways.
It's funny, and they are brutal, and they just screened. I'm laughing as I tell this story. They just screened Microcinema in Leominster. In a special midnight screening with A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think there were more casual midnight, horror fans who went, and there were complaints about Microcinema after the screening.
I can understand that.
I've
seen it.
Actually.
But you and I were talking about it yesterday. A reaction's a reaction, whether it's good or bad. They're not going to forget it.
No, if
especially if they walked out on it.
It's perfect. If somebody says, it's all right, you have failed miserably.
And in horror cinema, there's so many of those films. So that's why it's good to see refreshing, especially in horror shorts right now, because there was a while there horror shorts were dime a dozen. I mean, there's still a dime a dozen, but like there's some really good. We saw some great horror shorts yesterday too. So it's like I feel like that's kind of a medium that's really kind of taking some heat right now and really kind of starting to build up, and there's going to be some great filmmakers that are going to come out of these shorts that we're seeing now.
it's the best way to get into the market. I think is to do a short and get recognized for it.
Right.
It's boot camp. It's the Pawtucket Red Sox. You know?
Yeah, that's the way to look at it. So we obviously know. So what is on your plate right now is obviously working on the full length, getting your funding. Do you have what else is planned along with the documentary?
Well, I'm actually helping produce, and it's kind of hard to say it's a horror movie, but it's kind of hard not to. A Garth Donovan film, Chum, but I'm just helping produce that.
Right.
I'm helping others produce stuff, but I'm totally focused on Microcinema. I will say if I got the money now, and I'm not shooting until next fall, I'll be doing a lot of pre-production, but I might consider shooting something else in between.
Another short? Get some ideas wrangling around in there?
I do.
All right, Skip. We when we do our interviews, we always like to kind of ask everyone, you have a Saturday night where you got nothing going on. You're just chilling around the house. You're going to watch a couple movies. What's your go-to double feature?
The go-to double feature, well, the first thing just popped in my head, and I don't even know why, was The Shining. I would probably do that, and then The House by the Cemetery.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good mix right there.
Yeah.
That's a good mix. All right. So, Skip, where's the best place for people to find out about what's going on with you online and where they can kind of get in contact, and also where they can get because Microcinema is still available for purchase, correct?
I don't want to charge anybody for it now.
All right. Where can they get it then if they want to watch it?
The best way would be to find me on Facebook, Skip Shea. That's pretty SHEA. That's pretty simple. And then just send me a message, and I'll send people links.
There you go. Skip, thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure as always. Skip Shea, ladies and gentlemen.